Good morning and welcome to today's webinar, and also good afternoon to our participants in the Mountain Time Zone. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to join us for Rule Your Website with LRS Antilles Content Manager. So the goal of this session is to give all of you an overview of content management systems, their benefits, and the major providers, as well as to introduce you to our own content management system called LRS Antilles. My name is Jeff Enlow. I am the manager of LRS Web Solutions. Web Solutions is a division of Levi Ray & Schaup, based in Springfield, Illinois. Our team started building websites way back in 1996, and now our 20-person staff of creatives and web professionals create custom web solutions for clients all over the U.S. We'll also be joined by Beau, a senior application developer with our team, and he'll be doing a demonstration of LRS Antilles. Good morning, Beau.
Thanks, Jeff. Good morning. Great to be here, everyone.
Before we get started, we want you to know that you were muted upon entry to this webinar to eliminate background noise, and this webinar will be recorded. You'll receive a link in a few days so that you can review this presentation again if you would like. We plan to save some time at the end of this presentation to answer some of your questions. You can participate by submitting your questions in the chat box at any time throughout the webinar. You will be able to access the chat box by hovering your mouse at the top center of your screen and selecting the chat icon on the WebEx toolbar. We'll review those questions during the webinar and answer as many questions we can as time permits. We'll try and keep this around 45 minutes or so. So let's begin with this question. How do you keep website visitors coming back to your site on a regular basis? Well, the answer is simple, by keeping your content fresh and relevant. Content management systems allow you to update your site from virtually anywhere at any time on any device. So during this webinar, we're going to be talking about the useful features of today's most popular content management systems. And we're also going to be introducing you to our own content management system, LRS Antilles Content Manager. So just a quick overview of today's agenda. We'll start with a kind of a high-level overview of content management systems, and then we're going to move into the more specific, kind of do a deeper dive into the benefits of content management systems. We'll talk very briefly about the major CMS providers, and then we'll talk just a little bit, just a few slides about the LRS Antilles Advantage, why we are so proud of this program and what it can do for you. And then we're going to turn it over to Beau for a demo of the actual LRS Antilles Content Manager admin screens. And then finally, as I said earlier, we'll finish up with a few questions and answers. So let's dive right into an overview of content management systems. The definition of a content management system is a computer program that allows publishing, editing, and modifying of content from a central, usually web-based interface. One of the key advantages of a CMS is that it provides a process for organizations to manage workflow in a collaborative environment. Now, that's a mouthful, so what does that even mean? Well, it means that no longer does it have to be one person within your organization making all of the updates to your site on software that only he or she is trained on. We all remember the days when different organizations had a quote-unquote webmaster. Well, those days are gone because now you don't need those technical skills to keep your website updated. Instead of the task of creating, editing, and deleting web content, it can now be shared among many individuals in different departments. So you're probably thinking, okay, if we share those duties, having more content contributors might be a major advantage, but can also increase the likelihood of human error. Well, the good news is that content management systems have some sort of built-in fail-safes for that. They give individuals and groups clearly defined permissions to view and create content, add new pages, insert modules to a page, convert or copy features from one page to another, and much more. They also allow you to create an approval stage to review new or updated content before it goes live and send notifications and alerts to authorized content providers. So it really is, it really sort of minimizes the chances of human error while allowing multiple people across your organization to help you with the duties of managing your website. So let's go a little bit deeper and talk about the more specific benefits of a content management system. So ease and simplicity, and that's really one of the great things, one of the foundations of what makes a content management system such a great tool for today's businesses. No hand coding. Bottom line, this means no technical expertise is required. A CMS is designed to eliminate the need for hand coding, but it still supports it for specific elements or entire pages. So if you have somebody on staff who has those skills, they can make significant changes to your pages. Consistency and security. This is an area that we all know is extremely important today. Content is consolidated into one repository, facilitating content sharing among many coworkers. Content is also stored for reuse in other documents. Every instance is tracked and changes are flagged to ensure that all instances are consistent. And that's really important for obvious quality assurance and reusing content in other forms. New pages take on your website's default styling and themes. That's important too. If we're giving you the ability through a content management system of adding new pages, then we certainly want it to maintain the content styling and themes of your website. Menus are updated automatically when pages are added or names are changed. And user privileges are assigned so only authorized people can access content with unique IDs. That's very important. So another great quality about content management systems is the speed and efficiency. Shorter editorial cycles is one area that makes these so powerful. Users are alerted to their pending tasks and due dates. Additionally, daily editorial tasks can be automated to save time. Quick creation of new publications. Content can be searched, retrieved, and reused to create new products within minutes. Also, timely delivery of publications. Single source content is updated once and repurposed for multiple media channels as often as daily or weekly. So cost savings and convenience. This is an area I think that's going to be important to everybody. A CMS with full Unicode code support allows small chunks of updated content to be translated instead of entire documents, and that can save organizations thousands of dollars. We all know how expensive translation costs can be. Also, easier redesigns. And Beau can talk about this a little bit more later, but with the content saved within the CMS, entirely new designs and styling are easy and more affordable to add in the future. So if you want to freshen up the look of your website, it's much easier and much more cost-effective to do than ever before. So let's dive into the major players. Some of these names are going to sound familiar and some are not. There's a wide variety of content management providers. And like I said, some of these you will know. Currently, there are over 200 companies offering some sort of CMS. WordPress is obviously the name we all know. It has a massive market share. But there's also several others, particularly in the PHP framework, like Drupal and Joomla, which are both also widely used content management systems. Now, not all content management systems are alike. Like I said, some are built for different frameworks, such as PHP, Microsoft ASP.NET, which is what we've built our content management system in, Java, Enterprise Edition, Ruby on Rails, and Microsoft Classic ASP, just to name a few. So looking at the framework usage statistics, you can see that PHP is the framework that has roughly 25% of the market share, and WordPress being the vast majority of those. ASP.NET is the second largest single framework that content management systems are built on. And again, that's the one that LRS Antilles was built on. So let's talk about LRS Antilles for a minute. This is our own content management system. Antilles was developed by our team of seasoned professionals at LRS Web Solutions, a team with deep CMS knowledge and years of experience developing modern, mobile-ready websites for a wide variety of industries. Thanks to their efforts, you can now provide your customers with an outstanding, customized online experience, as well as an easy content management system for your staff to use. So these are just a fun little slide here, just a kind of a quick preview of some of the various modules that have been built to provide Antilles with some fantastic functionality. We've got, obviously, events, content editor, which is definitely our most popular feature to it, e-commerce, news blog, list builder, which is a powerful feature, locations for financial institutions and healthcare providers, that locations module, which enables you to showcase multiple locations, is a fantastic tool. We've also got form builder, alerts, photo gallery, and much more. So you've heard enough of my talking. Let's turn the presentation over to Beau Ford. He's going to go through kind of the admin screens of LRS Antilles and show you how easy it is to work and how user-friendly an interface it has. Beau is just for a quick introduction, not only is he a senior application developer, he is also in charge of product development here at LRS. So we like to call him the father of LRS Antilles. So take it away, Beau.
All right. Thank you, Jeff. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So we're looking at the Antilles Dashboard, and this is really the central location for all of the different modules that are part of Antilles. So Jeff mentioned some of those modules a minute ago, like events and blogs. But the first thing we're going to look at is pages. And pages is the primary module that you create all of the different pages in your website. So when you add a new page, it automatically puts it in the menu. And all of the different modules actually tie into pages. So for instance, if you're creating a new calendar of events, or let's say you're creating a new blog post or a new form, you can put that form directly on one of the pages that you create. So pages have several different elements to them. We're going to look at some of the SEO benefits of Antilles and how that ties into pages. And then we're going to take a look at security as well. So you can create multiple users and you can decide within your organization who will be managing which pages, which modules, and features that you have. So starting out, I'm going to show a list of all of the pages on this site. So this is really a list that is dynamic. So when you create a new page, it's going to show up in here. But you can also create links to other sites, or you can create placeholders as well. So to add a new page, I'm going to go up to the top and click on Add New. And this gives me an option to choose a page, a placeholder, or a link. So we're going to take a look at creating a new page. So the interface for creating a page is very simple. We have a title, a menu name, and a content section. And at the lowest level here, that is the simplest way to get started and create a page. So when we actually build your website, we go through the design process and we help you with creating some of these content pages. We have a content first approach. So we like to have all of your content before we start the design process, and that lets us kind of build the site around what your content is, because really in the end, having updatable content and having the right content is one of the most important features, and that's what a content management system allows you to do. So as I create this page, I'm going to create a page called Now Hiring, and you'll see it automatically fills in the menu name. So this would be what would show up in the drop-down menu on my website. And I'll just put some content in here. I'll say this is a test page. And you'll notice I have several tools up here. I can bold, italicize, also have the ability to indent, create bulleted or numbered lists. I can insert links. So if I put a link in here, for instance, it can be a link to a document I've uploaded. So if you've got PDF files, Word docs, things like that, it could also be to another website or even another page within your own site. Also have the ability to upload images. So when I click on that, I can drag and drop new images in here that will automatically upload, or I can choose one of the images that I've already uploaded on the site. So when I click Insert, it will put my image directly in the page here. And one thing to note too is we're automatically resizing images to fit your content area. So that means you don't have to spend a lot of time trying to prep images for pages. We will fit those automatically, and they'll look appropriate in mobile devices as well. So iPads, iPhones, Android devices, it's going to automatically be responsive when you're looking at content on different devices. So once I've created the page here, that's really all I need to do to create this page. I can go ahead and save the page, and it's going to tell me up here that I've saved this. I also have a couple other sections over here I'm going to mention. So we have a featured content area, and this would be if your design had a sidebar in it, for instance, and we might include additional links that were related to this hiring page, or additional plugins even. I could add, for instance, blog entries over here that were in a category that was related to this page, or I might add a list of something over here. So that's really how featured content works. We also have these plugin sections, and these plugins allow me to tie into all the other modules. And I'm going to go through some of those modules in a moment. But this kind of gives you an idea. If I wanted to put a form on this page, I could select form, and then that would allow me to select which form I wanted to embed on this page as well. So once you've actually gone through the process of creating a page, the next thing I want to talk about is publishing that page. So in the simplest form, once I've created a page and save it, it's live on the site. However, we do have an option in Antilles called Workflow. And when Workflow is enabled, that means the page has to be approved by someone or multiple people before it can be posted live. So we've turned Workflow on for this site, and you'll notice here when I save this page, actually what's happened is it's saved it as a draft, and we're creating multiple versions of this page as I save them. So I could actually go back and look at version 1, version 2, but as I'm creating these drafts, the active page, meaning the last one that was approved, will still be what people see on the public side until you actually go through the approval process. So let's say I finished editing this page. I think everything looks great. I'm going to click Submit for Approval. This will allow me to select an approver to actually look at this page and click Approve. So I can also include a comment in this as well. So there's a default comment in here that's just asking the approver to take a look at the page that's ready to go live. So when I hit the Submit for Approval button, it's going to create another draft of this page and save it, but it's going to send an email notification. It could also be a text notification to the approver or approvers you've set up for this page. So when I scroll down here, I can actually see here's my new page at the bottom. And just a quick note, you can move these pages around too. So if you drag and drop, this would actually put it in a different spot on the menu. But as an approver now, let's say I received an email, someone that was updating this page sent it to me for approval. When I click on my email, it's actually going to take me directly to this versions page. And I'll see right here, oh look, I have one page that's pending approval. I can also see there are comments on this page. So my options as an approver would be I could preview the page, which would show it to me in the website, so I could kind of see what the final version would look like. I also have the option to edit this page. I can remove it, or I can publish it. So publish it essentially makes it go live. But let's say I took a look at it, and I think there's a change that needs to be made. So I can see the whole chain of comments regarding this page as well. And let's say, let's make an update to add more content. And now anyone that was set up as an approver or that was an editor on this page will show up in this list. So by default, since I created the page, I will be notified when this comments get saved. Now normally your approver and your person creating the page is not the same person. But when I actually save that comment now, that will also send out an email notification to the person that created the page as well. So they'll be able to see, oh, look, there was a comment made to that page. It also posts live on this page as well, so you have that kind of threaded conversation. So now that we've created that, let's go ahead and publish it. As soon as I publish it, it gives me a notification, says that it's going to make it the active page. Now I can see who approved this page and who published it at what time. So this would be what people would now see live on the site. So that's kind of a quick overview of creating a new page and our workflow and approval process. I want to talk a little bit about SEO now. So one of the benefits of having a content management system is being able to very easily update your content. But there are some other advantages as well, and one of those is having tools built in to analyze your content and to give you, tips about how to create better content that will rank better in search engines. So I'm going to go back to the page that I just created, and you'll notice down here we have this now hiring page, but there's a little red dot next to it, and that's actually giving me a keyword analysis score of how this page might rank on the search engines. And right now it's not very good because I didn't spend very much time with my content. I'm going to make just a couple of quick changes so you can see how that might affect things. So starting out here, I created a page and I called it Now Hiring. So one of the first rules is your content should have your title in the content somewhere. So I'm going to actually change this to say this is a test page about hiring. And let's say we are now hiring new employees. So let's go ahead. I'm just going to leave this in draft mode, but I'll go ahead and save this. And let's jump over here. We have this SEO tab. So anytime you create a new page, you can kind of see, oh, look, here's a score. It's not doing very well. Let's see what we can do to improve this. So we need to first start with a focus keyword so it knows what my page should be about. And I'm going to say this page is about hiring. So let's go ahead and save that change. And now let's jump back over here. Now it's going to give me some information, and actually I spelled this wrong, so let's fix that and save this. So you can see now my score is going up a little bit. It's still not great, but it's telling me the SEO title is empty and is recommended to be 50 to 60 characters long. So I'm not going to do all of this right now, but I am going to set up a title. And you can see as I type this, it's also showing me what this would look like in the search engine. So you can kind of build out what people will see when they search Google for one of your pages. We're going to go ahead and put in a description here as well. And you'll see as I type this, say learn more about hiring in, this is a bad description, but organization. So as I type that as well, it's kind of showing me here, hey, I need more text in here. I need to do more here to improve my score. But it is going up. So as I keep adding things to this, what will eventually happen is I'll get that from red to yellow to green. And now I've added just enough so that I've got an 88, and my score is now green. So, of course, there's much more that I could do with this, but this kind of gives you a high-level overview of how these pages might be ranking. So when you take a look back at your list here, let's go back to the dashboard and let's look at all of our pages. You can kind of take a quick look and see, oh, we haven't set up SEO for any of these yet. This one's doing great. We need improvement on these. So great way to kind of help figure out, you know, am I even set up to show up well on the search engines? So that's our SEO integration. We also do tie into Google Analytics. So besides getting your pages ready, you're able to track everything. So anytime you create a new page, it's automatically tracked in Analytics. And our modules are tied in as well. So we're using Google Tag Manager, for instance, on forms. So if you were to create a new form, that when someone clicks the submit button, it can automatically tag that and track it with your analytics so you can see who's doing what, who's actually using forms, things like that. And I want to talk about some of the other modules as well. So we looked at pages and we looked at SEO, but a lot of times you're creating dynamic content like a new calendar of events, for instance. So I'm going to look at the events module, and this shows you a list of events that you've created in the system. So when I go to add a new event, I have the option of picking from a category. And you can think of a category almost like a separate calendar. So, for instance, if you had a page about hiring, you may want to create a category called jobs, and any new events that you push out about new job opportunities or job fairs, things like that, you may want to categorize accordingly, and you could actually show that calendar or that list of events on your jobs page. So for an event, we can set a start and an end date. We can put a title in here, a blurb, which is really just a 1 or 2 sentence kind of introduction to the event, and we use that oftentimes on the home page if we do a featured event section, and then the full text of your event. And this shares the same content editor that pages do. So if you already uploaded some images, you can see, oh, look, I've got the same things there. If you upload images here, again, they're available in all of your other modules as well. So you can create an event. You can turn events on or off with the active option. So if you want to set stuff up and essentially treat it like a draft, and then when you're ready to publish it, you can mark it as active. You can also set up recurring events. So if you have weekly or monthly meetings, for instance, you could do that as well. And you can select featured images for events as well. So this lets you search through all of the images that you've uploaded on the site by keyword, or you can drag and drop and upload images in here as well. So it's a great way to keep track and have different sections of events listed on your site or featured on your home page. Another very similar module that I want to talk about is news. And let's go back to the dashboard here. So news lets you create individual news stories on your site. You can also link news stories out to other sites or other pages. You can search for news articles when you're in the admin here. I'm going to go ahead and click on Add New. So very similar, you can choose a category. You can put in a title, a blurb again, which is a quick sentence about what the article is, the full body of the news article. You can set a posted and an expiration date. One of the things with setting an expiration date is news stories can fall off of your site. Unlike a blog where things are usually archived and you're oftentimes using that for SEO purposes, a news article may be more immediate things, and you may only have things that are relevant for a certain period of time. So you do have the option to expire news stories. You can also link news stories, like I said, to other areas of your site or completely to documents or other websites altogether. And when you do that, you have the option to put in a link and what the text says. For instance, we have people oftentimes want to link to a document. Maybe they've got a quick PDF file or something that's an application or some sort of form that they want just to let people download. So they may post a news story, make it featured, which shows it on the home page or wherever you've selected to put your featured stories. And then people can go right to the home page and say, oh, here's the upcoming event. It's marked as featured, so it's going to show up right there. And then you can have that link directly to that PDF file. Or you can just have a normal news story, so it takes you to the news details page. And, of course, you can still include links or pictures or anything in here as well. So I also want to take a look at forms. We talked about adding news stories and adding different events. Oftentimes, those will need to link to forms. And while you can certainly upload files like PDF files, things like that, you may want to create an interactive form. So we have a module called Form Builder. And Form Builder lets you go in and build your own forms. And when people fill those forms out, you can have those emailed to you, or you can have them saved in the database. So we have this form submission section here. And when someone submits a form, you can quickly choose between your forms so you can see who submitted contact forms, for instance. You can look at the status. So once you've looked at forms, if you don't want to remove them, you can just archive them, and you can filter those by date. So creating a form is pretty quick, really. If you click on Add New Form, you can put anything you want in here. Actually, I'm going to edit this contact form since we have that filled out already. And you can see I've got a form name in here called Contact Us. I have header text, so this is what shows up before the form on the page that I put it on. Footer text, so anything below that. And then the message you want the user to receive once they actually submit the form. You also have the option to send this form to an email address. You can change the name of the submit button, for instance. You can mark a form as active or not active, so that's news if you want to put it in draft mode. You can turn Google reCAPTCHA on. We have the option to encrypt forms, so that's useful, for instance, if you're creating a job application and you only want certain people at your organization to be able to open those resumes, for instance, that people submit. You can encrypt it with the digital email certificate. We also have the option to save the encrypted copy to the database, and that's what I just showed over here. So if you go to submissions, you can see anything that's submitted. So that's really the kind of overall process of setting up the form. But once you've set that up, you can go in here and start creating fields. So I've created 3 sections here. A general information section is what we're looking at. I can switch between sections, and then I can create form fields. So this is just a quick example of first, last name, and a message. I can mark those fields as required. Also have the ability to clone fields or clone an entire section. And back to the job application example, let's say you had maybe 20 or 30 different fields in your application or your applicant section, and you now want to create a co-applicant section, you can just clone that without having to recreate all those fields. So Form Builder does give you a quick way of laying out a form. Also nice to just be able to go in and change things. Like I mentioned at the beginning of the demo, we will set a lot of this stuff up for you during our design process, but this at least doesn't lock you in. So if you need from year to year to go in and change a form, you can do that, or even create your own forms and put them on pages. I want to talk about one more module, List Builder. List Builder is a very versatile module, and we use this for lots of different applications in the site. The probably most used is for rotating images. A lot of times you'll see when you go to a home page, there will be 5 or 6 rotating images on the site. There might be a caption on each image, and that image might link to another page on the site. So lists really are used when we design the site so that we can provide our customers an interface to go in and edit things in a very simple manner. So in this example, I have a list of employees. We might actually want to show these on the website as kind of a fancy box with a picture of the employee, and we see their name, and when you roll over it, maybe it shows a more information caption, things like that. So this allows us to separate the design from the actual content, but still provide an easy way to update this. If this content were in a page like we looked at earlier, it would be hard to edit because there's interactivity. There's things that we might want to do with that. Or rotating images, you're not going to see them rotate when you're in a page creating it. What you really kind of want is a form that just lets you fill in the blanks for different things. So List Builder, we use it in various different ways. Maybe a frequently asked questions on the site, again, rotating images, or any kind of info boxes, things that we really don't want to be locked down to making something generic because it needs to fit the content management system. We'd rather make the CMS fit what we want the content to look like. So that's really where List Builder allows you to do those things. So we talked about workflow a little bit, creating pages. We looked at some of the modules. We looked at SEO. The final section I want to take a look at is security. So security is obviously a very important thing to make sure you're creating all of this content. You've got all of these files that you've uploaded in your site. You want to make sure that information is secure and make sure that only people that are allowed to access things can log in and make changes or upload files or access pages, approve pages, things like that. So there's several things that we have in place. The first thing I want to talk about is the users and roles system. So you can, at any time as an administrator, go in and create new users on your site. When you add a new user account, you're able to assign that user to one or multiple roles. And you also have the ability to create your own roles. And we will have clients create members-only sections on their website and maybe have like a members role, and then only members that are assigned to that role can log into the site. But this is also for controlling who can change things in the admin, that can manage your site as well. So it's a centralized users location for all of the users on your site. When you create a new user, you can mark the user as active. You can also disable a user. You can automatically generate a password for that user that will get emailed to them. But you also have the ability to turn on two-step verification. So that's where you'll get a code on your phone, when you go to log in, and you put that in. That adds that second factor to prove that you not only know your login and password, but you actually have possession of a device that proves that you are the owner of the account. And we also have an option to require a password change after X number of days. So I know a lot of organizations, especially financial institutions, will have different requirements on password change, things like that. So you can set these on a by-user basis as you create users. We also have a global setting for this, so you can force any new accounts to require a password change or to require this two-factor authentication. So once you've set up user accounts, you can also set up roles. And when I go into roles, I can see there are several built-in roles, but I can create my own roles as well. So if I wanted to create a members-only role, or let's say I wanted to create a role for someone that's just going to log in to Antilles and update events, I could create a role called maybe Event Manager, and I could assign just the events module. So when they log into Antilles, they're only able to access events. Similar, a lot of times you'll have content creators where you'll assign them the ability to create multiple things like events, news stories, pages, but that's where workflow fits into things too. So you could approve that content before it gets published as well. So roles really gives you some flexibility to how you want to arrange your user management system. We have one more thing to talk about here for security, and that's the audit log. So the audit log is a great way to just get a high-level overview of what's been changed on your site. So anytime a new page gets updated, for instance, or an event calendar, anything like that gets added, we write a simple log here, and it shows the date, the application that was changed, which in this case was pages, and then who made that change. Now, with pages, while you're getting this information here, it's also showing you what time people logged in, things like that. You can drill down within pages and see more information. As we looked at earlier, every time you save a page, we're creating multiple versions of that page. So you can go back and see the history and see the different changes that were made.
Beau, that list could get pretty long. Are those sortable by clicking on the bar at the top?
They are. So you can sort those, and we're actually keeping just the last 12 months of content to keep it somewhat to a reasonable size list.
Okay.
So back on the dashboard here, that kind of gives us an overview of how modules tie into pages, how you can create the different security roles to manage things, being able to take a look at how your SEO is set up, how your pages are ranking in search engines, and also be able to manage an approval process for publishing pages and things like that. Once you've actually created all this, we also have a support section and an update section. And one of the great things about Antilles is we're always getting customer feedback. So anytime there's a problem or there's a new feature suggestion, we're constantly making improvements to the different modules. And we have an update system that can automatically push those updates out to customers as well. So that is an option in Antilles. That wraps up the demo portion of this. I'm going to turn it back over to Jeff to wrap it up.
Okay, well, I am going to see if I can take the screen back here. Okay, can everybody see my screen that says questions? Hopefully, Beau can see it.
Yep.
Okay. Well, we've got just a few minutes. Like I said, we want to keep this right at around 45 minutes, so we're going to answer a couple of the questions that have come in. We've got one here from Dan. It says, do you offer training on how to use Antilles? Now, you guys obviously just heard Beau's demo, and he's done that many times, presented that many times in person for customers, and we certainly do offer training. That's part of the standard Antilles package when we set up a website. Beau, do you have anything to add on that one?
Sure, and I just want to mention, too, that when we actually do start the process, because of our content-first approach, you're able to start putting content in immediately. So we do an initial training with you. We also do a more formal one at the end of the process, but a lot of times we find customers are very familiar with the site because they've already used it for the period of time that it was in development.
Okay. All right, one more. We got a couple more. Let's see. From Tim, is anybody available to help if we were to encounter a problem while trying to use this CMS? And yes, actually, that is, and I'll let Beau speak to this one too, but that is one of what we feel are the really strong advantages of LRS Antilles. This content management system was built by the very same people who were building your website, so they know it inside and out. When we talk about the LRS Advantage, we really feel that it does make this a really powerful tool for you, because if you need additional functionality built into it, or you need changes and modifications, we take customer feedback and work that into every new version, every minor release of Antilles. Beau, can you add anything to that?
Sure. Yeah, and that's definitely a great point that, because we did build the modules and we built the system, we are able to make changes if there are problems, things like that, without waiting on someone else. But we also do have a maintenance support team here as well, so they're available to answer questions if you need to, call and talk to someone about something. We have a great ticketing system as well, so you can kind of track things. And we do have on-call staff as well, so someone's available 24 hours for any serious emergencies like site being down, things like that.
Okay. Well, one more question. Anita asked, can Antilles improve our SEO rankings? Now, I know you talked quite a bit about SEO earlier. Really, and some of our customers, we've talked to them about web governance software that's available that can help ongoing SEO efforts. But really, is it safe to say that from a search engine optimization standpoint, Antilles really helps in sort of establishing SEO best practices and make sure that when you set up a page and put in your content that you're following those practices?
It does, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things with SEO is it is an ongoing process. It's something that constantly needs updated. But having a content management system, especially with those tools built in like we looked at, that gives you the tools that you need to be able to make those changes and the visibility to see how things are working.
Okay, well, we just had a couple more questions come in while we were talking from Laura Shell. She asks, does the event page let people sign up for events and pay if there's a charge?
So we actually tie two modules together in that case. So we have the ability to link to a form where then you can create a form builder form that they could sign up, and you could charge in that instance if you set up a payment with that form.
Okay. And our friend Sylvia out in Denver, who by the way is an hour behind us, I've got to correct that from earlier, is there any way to attach documents with a form, she asks?
Yes. So when you're creating a new form with our newest form builder, you can insert links to documents. So if you've uploaded anything into the resources section, like PDF files, things like that, those can be included. And if you're just not to be confusing here, but the other way around as well, if you're accepting a form, if someone's filling out a form like your customer, for instance, you could allow them to upload documents as well into a form, like a resume or something like that.
Okay, very good. Well, if we did not get to your questions, like I said, I want to keep this around 45 minutes. If we didn't get to your questions, and if you have more questions, please feel free to reach out to me. My contact information is right there on the screen. And if you'd like to learn more about LRS Antilles Content Manager, visit the website at getantilles.com. And if that is it for today, like I said, if you have any more questions, shoot me an email, jeff.enlow@lrs.com, or feel free to give me a call, extension 1660. And if that is all for today, I'd like to thank Beau and everyone for joining us. We had a really good turnout for today's webinar. Obviously, there's some interest in this product, and we're very proud of it. We think it's a great product. So thank you again, everyone, and have a great day.
Thanks, everybody.